So I've noticed a few articles about facial recognition technology, all about how, when, and when it should be used and how secure these databases are when it actually comes to storing things like biometrics and facial scans. The first question that everybody should have when it comes to collecting and storing data is how safe is it really? And as we saw with the digital driver's licenses, there's a lot of emphasis being put on how secure these systems actually are. Interestingly enough, there's a story from August this year talking about a huge data leak. The story tells us that thousands of leaked credentials for employees from New Zealand government departments and healthcare organisations can be found for sale on the dark web, and that there's more than 30 billion credentials for sale with links to 198,000 New Zealand companies and entities. They also found usernames and passwords for more than 18,000 New Zealand government workers, 3,200 banking staff, and 2,000 healthcare organisation accounts. So tell me again just how secure these systems are. If the very government who's telling you this is all safe, secure, and convenient can't even hold on to the data they've already got, why would we give them even more? The article says that these are trusted institutions that Kiwis interact with every day, and they're real emails, real passwords sitting in the wild, and they're searchable. Just imagine one of those usernames and passwords as a government employee responsible for the new secure system that holds your driver's license, passport, or medical records. And the crazy part is the story tells us that some of these leaks went undetected for years. So not only is it not secure, they don't even know it's being leaked. And that's only one side of the equation. In August, RNZ released a story about police being too loose with number plate recognition systems. Following an internal review by the police, they uncovered that their systems were way too loose when it came to who could access information from the system called Aura. Now, what is Aura? Aura is a system that was set up with help by the police over a decade ago, but has now gone international. In this instance, they do things like number plate scanning and recognition, but they also have the ability to do facial recognition technology. It found that anyone with a police email could use the system, even many who had no reason to, and they didn't have to say why they were using it. In their view, they assessed that the public would lose trust if police went too far in accessing personal information when using Aura. They also acknowledge that trust and confidence in police is negatively affected where personal information is used beyond the mandate provided to police in legislation. Since 2022, crime reports via Aura have doubled to 12,000 a month. And we read here that through their technology, police can even tell where a car has been spotted up to 60 days ago. Despite the findings and recommendations from their own internal review, it says that issues still persist. Police themselves admit that Aura is generating more information than they know what to do with. Several times in the review conducted by police link Aura to facial recognition technology, although Aura themselves say they don't use that technology. Instead, they use something called Connect the Dots, which is a form of facial recognition technology. They proudly ensure the only source of images they have access to are those provided to them by retailers on the platform. So I wonder what sort of retailers are using that platform. Well, in another story from this year, we see it's actually quite a few big retailers in support of facial recognition technology. In fact, dozens of the largest retailers and telcos in our country have signed up to be part of this process. And the Privacy Commission has given it a cautious tick to go ahead with trials in New World and Pack 'n Save supermarkets. In fact, I saw this sign at my local Pack 'n Save just last month. Spokesperson for Retail NZ, Carolyn Young, said that facial recognition technology will enable stores to identify these individuals who enter the store to ensure that the store is safe for staff and customers. And there's that word that we love, safe. They say that the technology doesn't allow customers to be monitored while in the store, it just takes their picture on arrival and then deletes it apparently. They also admit that there's a lot of misidentification, so you could be mistaken for somebody on the watch list and then have your image saved as a result. She says that Britain, who we obviously would all love to be, is a long way ahead of New Zealand when it comes to facial recognition technology and CCTV. And to that I'd say, Carolyn, great observation. The UK is a lot further along than us. In fact, they're quite close to trying. So when it comes to secure databases, digital IDs, and facial recognition, I think it's best to just say no, because safety isn't worth the cost of freedom and privacy.